welcome to GrossiMath.com, where math is for everyone. Today we'll be solving question 7 from the 2017 Algebra 1 STAAR using the TI-Nspire calculator. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing, whoops, my pen is stuck here. The first thing that I see is the question, and it says the total number of seats in an auditorium is modeled by a function. Okay, now if I'm thinking about my TI-Nspire, I'm saying, hey, I see an equation here, it has an equal sign, I can work. Where A represents the total number of seats, so A is the number of rows of seats, and that's very important. So in this problem we have rows, and we also have the total number of seats. Okay, so there's total number of seats, there's total number of rows. The letter A represents the number of rows, which means that G of A represents the number of seats. Now the way this works, guys, is that G parentheses A is called function notation. And what does that really mean? It means basically you put in an A and a G comes out, and you put in a different A and a different G comes out. You put in a different A and a different G comes out. In other words, every number that you put in is going to create another number. What do I mean by put in? Well, I mean that they would focus on this little piece right here that I'm circling with red, and they could put a number in there, and when they see a number go in, another number is going to come out. And depending what number I put in is going to create a different number coming out. Okay. All right, it says how many rows are there in the auditorium if it has a total of 84 seats? Okay, so now I need an answer. How many rows? So I'm going to put my little answer box underneath the word rows. Are there in the auditorium if it has a total of 84 seats? Okay, so the total seats would be 84. So they're asking what number produces 84? Okay, so now let's talk calculator. Well, in the calculator, we know, or we should know in some ways, that the calculator can easily do problems that have ordered pairs. Okay, and so that means X and Y. Well, guess what? I could just call this one X and call this one Y. No big deal. As far as the calculator is concerned, it does not know the difference. Okay, so you need to know about that function notation stuff as part of algebra, but the calculator doesn't. It just needs to know, hey, there are two numbers. One's going in and one's coming out, and it's going to make you some answers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these multiple choice. We're going to plug it in, we're going to plug it into the calculator, and we're going to see which one produces the number 84. Okay, so maybe I should write that here next to my answer choice so that way you can see that they're the same. A box and the number 84. Okay, so step 1, go to the calculator, press Control N, and press the letter no. Okay, now for this system right here, especially since we have the function notation we talked about earlier, I'm going to do a strategy called GT. The T stands for trace. Okay. So I'm going to go to the graph. That's the G. The letter G stands for graph. That's to help you remember. And now I can't trace yet. Why can't I trace? Well, because I don't have a graph to trace. How can you trace something that's not there? It's impossible. So what I see is, remember, before we talked about this, that this is this little G of A, and I'll write it here so you can see it a little bit larger. G of A is called function notation. It's a letter, parentheses, and another letter. And guess what? When I go inside the calculator, and I'll show you the zoomed in screen so you can see it even better. When I go inside the calculator, I can put, look, it has right there some letters, and in parentheses, and then another letter. Okay? But in this calculator, it says F1. Well, I'm going to take that out, and guess what I'm going to put? I'm going to put the letter G, because that's what's outside the parentheses. So I just copied it. I literally copied this letter right here, the G. Okay, so now now the other thing is that in the calculator, you cannot use, and let me clean this up a little so you can see what I'm going to say here. You cannot use the letter, any letter inside the parentheses has to be the letter X. So you see how the calculator automatically puts the X inside the parentheses? You cannot change that. You have to use the letter X. It's just required by the calculator. It's required. So up there in the calculator, you can see right here. Right? No, not that. Where am I? Right here. Right here, you can see the letter X is inside the parentheses. Okay? But in the front letter doesn't matter that much. You can change that one. But the second letter you cannot change. That has to stay X. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that and we're going to use that knowledge on our paper. So basically I'm going to change the letter A to the letter X because that's what the calculator needs. And guess what? If this A becomes an X, then this one becomes an X and this one becomes an X. Okay, so now they're all X's. And when I copy it, that's how I have to copy it. So basically, I'm going to go inside the calculator and I'm going to copy the equation that I see in the problem. 2x minus 2x. Oh, I forgot to put the exponent squared. There we go. Okay, so now we have the whole equation copied in there. And I'm going to press enter. And now here I have the graph. Okay, so now that I have the graph, I can get back to doing my strategy. We graphed it, we need to trace it. Okay, so in order to trace it, I'm going to press menu 5, and you can see, let me just do that one more time. You can see that the letter T is the word trace. So to trace, once again, you hit menu, and then you find the letter T, which is trace. And then you always choose number 1, okay? So far for trace, I pressed menu 5, 1. Okay, so now to get numbers in there, I need to press enter and escape. So here I'm going to put enter, escape. Okay, so now I've written menu 5, 1, enter, escape because that's what I pressed. I'm going to do it one more time because so many students get confused on that. I'm literally just going to go to, I made the graph, and now to trace I press menu 5, 1, enter, escape. It's just buttons. You can just memorize them. It's just like using your cell phone or anything else. You memorize a bunch of buttons. You don't even realize it. Okay, so now we have it traced. And that means that what we can do is, you see this little ordered pair right here that I'm hovering over right there with the little hand? I can go on top of that 0 right there. And guess what? Or not the 0. I can go right on top of that 0 right there, and I can start plugging in my answer choices. Remember, these answer choices are all X's. Like, what will the 8 produce? What will the 7 produce? What will the 6 produce? And so on, okay? So let's try that out. We're going to go in here and we're going to put the 8. All right, well, the 8 produced 112. That is not the answer that I wanted, okay? So what I have here, the 8 produced 112, but I don't want that. I want something that produces 84. So I'm going to get rid of that. 8 and 112 are not a match to what I desire. Now I'm going to try number 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put the calculator back and try the number, try the number 7. Right here, click on it twice and put in the number 7. Okay, and there you go. It produced the number 84. Okay, so right there, if you look at your choices, you can see that in our notes we said, hey, I need a number that produces the number 84. And guess what? Number 7 produced the number 84. So that means that this is a good match. 7 produced 84. When I plugged it in, 7 produced 84. So guess what? 7 is the correct answer. And that's it. That's how you solve this problem. Okay, so step 1, what did we do? We read the question and we saw that we had to get a number for another number. So we chose the strategy GT. The G stands for graph and the T stands for trace. So step 1, we graphed it. Do not forget that the letter inside the parentheses has to be X. That's all you need. And then you just change it to X throughout the whole thing and everything will work out fine. If you don't do that, the calculator will give you an error. Okay, so we chose the strategy graph trace. We copied in our equation with the x inside the parentheses. Then we did menu 5-1, enter, escape. And then we used the ordered pair that it produced to put numbers in and have numbers come out. And put numbers in and have numbers come out. And that is how we did this problem. All right. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to click the bell icon. And of course to visit the website where math is for everyone, www.grossimath.com. Have a great day.